Fight and Talk back again. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Glory Welterweight kickboxer Jamie Bates. Jamie, it's been a little while since we've caught up. I think we'll be coming up to about a year. I think you're the first one of 2020 before the world went mental. How have things been, mate?
Mate, it's been mental, and I managed to get that fight in with Gregorian, but other than that, I've just been trying to do what every other fighter's been trying to do, go around gyms where nobody catches you walking in until they said professional fighters could train, and then you still have to be a bit careful then. So just doing what everyone else is doing.
That Gregorian fight, of course, we've not spoke since then. I mean, tremendous performance and great win. Congratulations on that. For you looking back now, how do you assess your performance in that bout?
I think I performed well, especially considering when I got dropped. Like looking back and assessing it, there was definitely moments when I could have took him out, and kind of went in. I probably wasn't as confident in myself as what I should have been. He was definitely there for the taking, but considering I got knocked out in the second round, I think I did Harut.
I was going to ask you about that. For those who haven't seen the clip, I'm sure it's still circulating around social media. The referee told you to break, I believe it was, and you did. You stepped back, you dropped your hands, and then he just caught you straight on the chin with something. What? I mean, yeah, what was going through your head when he hit you with that shot? And from your perspective, how did you see that crazy few seconds playing out?
Like it's a fraction of a second, but when you're in there, it's like slow. Like I heard the referee say stop, so I stopped and dropped my hands, and then it was as if I like slow motion. I just saw this fist going towards my face, and I was like, I'm gonna get hit here, kind of hard. It was like a penalty kick in football, and for clean hit on jaw, and then obviously I went down on the ropes, and I knew. I was like, that was illegal. So I was like, I'll take another 30 seconds here, because if I get up, he's going to jump on us, isn't he? And even when I got up, I think it was after like a minute, the ref gave us, I was still on dodgy legs. And he told us off when I got up, for some reason.
How hurt were you when he hit you with that? Because I wasn't sure if you were out or whether you were sort of out and come back around on your way down, or where were you at with that?
It was like a bit more than a flash knockdown. I was definitely down for a 10 count. It was one of them ones where like I couldn't have got straight back. Oh, I would have made the count, but I think if I had got counted, it might have been a bit different. Like because I think he'd have jumped on us, and I would have definitely been out weak. But I think as soon as because my head hit off the back of the corner, and I stumbled forward, and my leg went, and it was kind of like when my leg went, I realised what had happened. So I think I probably would have made the count, but like. It's pointless getting straight back up.
How surprised were you that you didn't get a point deducted as well? Because it was so clearly after the call was made that you got hit with it. Like
there was no justification of anything made. Like apparently I kicked him in the knee before that. Like so he's just sparked us clean out. You know what I mean? Like what you telling me off for when I stand up to watch your kicks near the knees? Tell him to stop hitting when you say stop.
With something like that, how hard is it for you? Of course, you're a professional athlete in a combat sport. You're used to getting hit, but how hard was it for you to sort of get your head almost switch back on immediately? Right, the fight's not over. I'm still in this. He's not going to lose a point. I'm just going to have to get through these next few rounds and get the job done.
It was just a case of be sensible, keep your hands up for the next bit, and try not to. Don't mix things with them, because you're going to come out on the bad end, really, once you've just been dropped like that. And go 2 ways. So I got my composure back and started to get my bearings. I mean, my corner, they didn't, because the way the Glory ring is, it was too low. So they had no idea what went on when I come back to the corner. They were ready to throw the towel, and they thought I'd just been dropped in general. But it's hard, because I knew in the back of my head, I was like, he's going to jump on us, but what do you do? It's march or die, and a death or glory kind of thing. Just it's going to happen or it isn't.
The joys of combat sports. Obviously, since then, we've not seen you make a walk to the Glory kickboxing arena. What sort of prevented you from that? I mean, apart from the obvious of the global pandemic, but have you been looking at getting there? I know they've had a couple of cards since things have started chilling out a little bit. Yeah.
Constantly been trying to get in. That actually got offered. Wait, what happened? I got offered a fight in October, and I injured my knuckle in February when I fought Gregorian, and it wasn't better by October. It was actually pretty bad, but obviously with COVID going on, couldn't get seen to anyway, especially during the first lockdown. So that was bad then. So I couldn't guarantee them I was going to fight in August. So they pulled us off the card in October. And then I injured my shoulder. And then the week before the Doumbe title fight in December, when Gargi ended up taking the spot that offered me that fight. And that was literally the first week when my physio said I could start training again. So I missed out on that. And then ever since, I've just been trying to call them out and trying to get that fight on. I've been calling him out. I've been calling Little Grown Hot out because they're the champion number one.
How frustrating was that for you then to come off such a massive win against Harut and really put yourself and cement yourself at the top of that division, then not be able to fight when the opportunity came knocking?
Just depressing, like absolutely depressing, because I've grafted years and years and years. I've done everything you need to do. My record in Glory's 4-1. Like the two guys above us, I think they're 2 or maybe 3 fights, and both of them's only fought one ranked person, other than Grown Hart, who was the contender. So, like, sometimes it feels like I'm pissing in the wind to try and get the title fight, but like to actually get offered it and then not be able to do it, I was like, oh fucking hell, am I going to get the opportunity again? So it was one of them, but just one of them things. You just got to keep grafting.
You mentioned that as well, the lads being above you. Were you a little surprised that you didn't go in even higher in the rankings after that victory over Harut?
In terms of the Glory rankings, I've got better records than them too, and I've fought 3 of the top 5 fighters in mine. Won 2 of them, lost 1, and then the other 2 fights, who have I fought? The other 2 were decent lads as well. I've had 5 fights for them anyway. And I was shocked. To be honest, I thought I would have took the number 2 spot because those 2 lads have been inactive longer than what I have as well. But they must have them 2 lined up to fight next, I think, because they were due to fight anyway on that show that I was on. So that's probably why they haven't put us up there.
We've spoken about him already, Cedric Doumbe. I mean, he fought, what was it now? Doumbe fought 2 weekends ago, I think it is, at the time of recording this. Another really impressive win. What did you make of that fight?
It was a dominant performance from Doumbe. Gronard didn't look like he wanted it. When I watched the fight, I was actually quite annoyed. I was like, I've been a big fan of Gronard for years, from back in his K1 days when he beat Koishenko for the K1 title. Because I remember Reece McAllister, he fought in that tournament as well. But I was being a big fan of Gronard for years, and I was just like, that just didn't look like him at all. And he kind of gifted Doumbe the knockout. But to be fair, Doumbe did everything he needed to do and banged him out. Just looked dominant the entire time.
I think with that as well, it extended Doumbe's record now to 7 wins on the bounce, I believe it is, under Glory. I know it's a shot that you're on. I know. Sorry?
Probably 7 knockouts off the belt as well.
Yeah, I believe it is, yeah. And I know that, look, it's a fight that you should have had. It's a fight that you definitely want. What, for you, do you believe you can do to stop this win streak that he's on and ultimately become that Glory Welterweight champion?
I think I can box a bit better than everybody in the division. Everyone else is typical Dutch style, typical Thai style. There's a couple of lads who do things a bit differently. The division's a shark tank in terms of lads being killers. They're all very good at what they do. But Doumbe's got decent hands, or at least he throws them decently. However, I think like basic boxing counteracts that. I'll just Tyson Fury the life out of him when I fight him. I'll think about what I'm doing and I'll absolutely frustrate the fucking life out of him. That's my plan. That's what I think I can do. I just do things differently. You know, it's a bit like putting a Tyson Fury. It's the exact same thing as what's going to happen when I fight Doumbe eventually.
So what do you think then does set you apart from that division, apart from the boxing?
Oh, because I'm not typical Dutch as well. Like I'm not hook low kick, hook knee, stand in front of you. I've got they've got no angles. The Thai boxers, typical jab, low kick, stiff as fucking boards. Like our hit and move move and think about one. Like I don't have the biggest knockout ratio on my record, and I think that's because I think about what I'm doing. I try and take him to school. I took a Gregorian to school. Like I taught him a lesson in what he was doing. So, like I like to analyze the fighter's strengths and turn them into weaknesses. So that's what I bring to the table. My fight IQ. That's what it is.
How much do you think that does help with your development as an athlete as well? As you mentioned, you haven't got loads of knockouts on this glory kickboxing run that you're on at the minute, but the fights you're getting a lot of ring time. You're getting in there with some of the highest sort of caliber fighters in the world at the minute. What do you think that all this ring time in there with them and beating them is helping adding to you as like is your development as a fighter?
It's massive because the first time I jumped in the glory stage, it was everything. It was like the cameras are in your face. You having to do interviews. Like before you go out to the ring, you've got to stand in front of this board and do your shadow box in front of the cameras, and it's your ring walk and it's everything. And it's becoming comfortable with all that. Becoming comfortable with how you're going to weight cut when you're away from home for 3 days, like the whole process, but also knowing that the likes of Gregorian, who was the champion, with a massive record of wins, he's knocked out previous champions and stuff. And like I took him to bits. Like that's what I can do, So like I know I can take faith away in that, and I can do the same thing to any of them.
That's something that I find really interesting that you just mentioned there, the things away from the fight that you've got to get used to when you do hit the bigger stages. How have you combated that in terms of having to get used to it? What's that like? I guess again, development process being like to be able to go in and go right. I've got to do this press. I've got to do this poster sign in. I've got to do this. How have you managed to now almost section that off away from the fight, or do you now embrace it all just as part of fight week?
Like the thing with Glory is the guys behind the scene, the media team, they're all sound and they all look after you as well. Which for me, if I had to go around find my way and like introduce myself to everyone, I'd be like quite a shy person, like hello, where do I go next, kind of thing, And but they look after you well and they take you around, so you embrace it as part of it. You're just having a laugh when you're there. You just can't see them all, and you have a big crack, and then depending on how fat you are, makes how hard your weight cut is, really, doesn't it? It's just one of them.
Weight cutting, I think, is an issue across all combat sports, some more than others. When you're going in for, or what do you think? Sorry, go on.
I went off a second there. It's definitely an issue, but you've got big weight categories, haven't you? With like, what is it, 77, 85, 85, 95. Like I walk around like 86, 87 kilo. I don't really want to fight 85, because I know I can strip down and do like a lighter cut. Some of the lads that do massive cuts from 85, 86 kilo to get a 77, So I think if they made the divisions a bit smaller, it'd be a bit nicer for everybody, introduce some sort of weight cutting protocol that everyone had to follow. But until then, you've got to try and be competitive and meet everybody on level terms, or you're going to jump in the ring the next day and fight bloody monsters. When I used to fight middleweight at 85, I used to step on the sales drinking water and eating sandwiches. And then I'd turn up and be fighting a completely different guy the next day by the time they've rehydrated.
Of course, kickboxing.
How you live and learn. That's it.
Of course, kickboxing, not the only combat discipline you've competed in. You did have a little spell at boxing. Is that something you'd ever possibly look back to going to? Obviously, depending on how the next, let's say, 18-month plays out, nobody really knows where we're going to be in 18 months. But if boxing shows are back up and running more regularly than kickboxing, could we see you making a return to the boxing ring?
I'd love to, but it would have to be against somebody decent. Like, I'm not going down that bullshit journeyman road again. So, like, my plan is, if I can get that glory title and stuff, then I've got a big clout behind my name. Like, if I want to go away and start calling out the likes of like Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yard and all them decent light heavyweight fighters, then I can go away and do that. But like, I'm not going to go back and like compete right at the bottom. If I had something decent in front of us, if not, I'd love to box, because boxing was like the sport I grew up with. I'd love a nice 10-round fight. But if not boxing, when I retire from the kickboxing, I won't mind a few bare knuckle ones, decent ones in America.
What do you make of the bare knuckle scene? Because I mean, it's sort of came from, not from nothing, of course, it's been around for years and years and years, but in terms of the mainstream, in the last 4 or 5 years, it really seems to be gaining legs. What do you make of
It
that and now becoming a mainstream combat sport?
it's kind of blown up, especially with that BKFC in America, and we've got the BKB over here. The lads are getting decent coin, and they're getting a stage. It's just, I kind of make of it, how big of a stage can it go? How far do people want to see? Because it's quite brutal. Like, state of some of the lads after them fights, but especially when you look at Lobov and was it 94 that time in
Yeah,
state,
yeah, Jason Knight, yeah.
them two fights. That was horrific, them, them lads. But it's one of the oldest combat sports there is. I'd love to have a go eventually. I wouldn't like to have that many, 2 or 3 tops, but I would like to have a go. I like the value of my hands. Like,
Well, I won't take up too much more of your time, Jamie. So one last one. You can do it straight down the camera, but let's say Doumbe is watching this. What would be your message to him for that next fight?
let's get it on. Everybody wants to see the fight, so let's fight. Stop fighting all these other lads. I've been around for a while now, so let's go.
Perfect, Jamie. We'll leave it at that, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.